Welcome back to Sam's Crazy World. For this image, I was looking at John the Baptist's diet because I was wondering if it was a healthy way to lose weight. Actually, not really. John wore a garment of camel's hair with a leather belt around his waist. His food was locusts and wild honey, Matthew 3:4. Elijah also wore a garment of hair and a leather belt, 2 Kings 1:8. So I had a question whether he ate locusts or he ate of a locust tree. I've talked before about the idea of locusts being unclean. That possibly relates to the idea that everything that was unclean was actually sacred under different worship, like Asherah or similar. But funny story, in Plymouth, outside of the courts and the Guildhall, there's a little sort of, boulevard that had a pond, but the water's been drained, a cafe kiosk and some seats and some old trees. I dreamt years ago that I was digging, or somebody else was digging down there, and they were looking for blood diamonds, and they found them. And I remember thinking that was odd. And then I found out that actually that particular area had been used as the overspill burial ground for St Andrew's Church, but it had got bombed, covered over, and now forms part of the connection between the Guildhall and the council offices. And some bones were excavated from there during some gas works a couple of years ago. What's that got to do with John the Baptist? Well, there is a plaque there on the grass that mentions 4 imperial locust trees that were donated from Plymouth, Michigan. And being the absolutely crazy person that I am, I decided to research them and find a connection between the seeds of the honey locust and the carob, also known as St. John's bread, and it has a sweet taste. So in this image, we're looking at somebody from the back, because you can see the head turned to the side at the top. There's like another head next to them, looks a bit like a knight, a newt to the left, and then a horsey, like one of those ride-along hobby horse on the far right, and then loads of different bits on the back. There's some sort of character in here. I thought at one point it looked like somebody with a helmet that was maybe driving a vehicle, but now it looks more polar bear-like. There's the plaque that I was talking about, in case you didn't believe me, complete with my shoe. There's a close-up on the hobby horse. We've just entered the year of the horse. There's a close-up on the back of the head. So on the right-hand side, it looks a bit like Chewbacca, I think. But like on the left-hand side, it looks like a newt or lizard, mouth wide open, shouting. Actually looks a bit like another face with a helmet pointing off to the left. And sort of like a curvy female figure there in the blue. Also looks like another head. There's something, I think, cat-like, this bottom right bit. But sometimes when I look that top bit, also looks like a female face. Some other squiggles and bits and bobs all around. Can't say anything particular, but it looks different things different times. Apparently it tastes a bit like chocolate. The fresh pod tastes like a date. Cakes of dates, 2 Samuel 6:19. Song 7:7. Your stature is like that of a palm, and your breasts like its clusters of dates. I'm not sure if that was one of John's child lines. Anyhow, I feel a bit happier if he was actually eating something that tasted like chocolate. Thanks for listening, and please like and subscribe.